My alarm's beeping shatters the early morning quiet, and I find myself wondering where to find the motivation to rise. Class is still quite far off, but I agree to run with Emi in the mornings. Really, I'm not that interested in running as a hobby or even as a possible life-lengthening exercise. However, I feel obligated to follow through on my promise to Emi yesterday, which is why I find myself throwing on some running shorts and a light t-shirt. The cool morning air caresses my face as the morning sunshine causes the dew on the grass to sparkle, nearly blinding me at first. As I make my way down the track, an ugly thought strikes me. What if this is some sort of joke that Emi's playing on me? Would that surprise me, really? Hell, I'd probably do it to the new guy, too. At the very least, I'm sure Emi and Rin made a bet on whether or not I'd actually show up. I feel a sense of trepidation as the track comes into view. You're late. It would seem that Emi's already there. What a relief. Not according to my watch. We're both here early, in fact. Damn, you've got me there. Emi is sitting on the bleachers, decked out in her running gear, waiting somewhat patiently for me. Glad you're actually here. I was afraid that this was just a joke or something. Nah, I never make someone get up early for nothing. Plus, Rin owes me 500 yen now. She didn't think you'd actually show up. I knew it. Nice to know Emi was on my side at least. Emi hops off the bleachers and begins stretching out. She's remarkably lithe, almost like a dancer. I set out to stretch as well, but then I realized that I don't exactly remember how to stretch properly. It's been ages since I stretched for anything, if you don't count my one stint at running last week. And even then, I don't think I actually stretched beforehand. The specter of my long hospital stay rises up again. I can't say I was all that active before the hospital stay, though, so maybe I'm just being morose. Emi giggles as she watches me stretch out. No, Hisao, you've got to hold it for longer than that. I'm trying, it kinda hurts a little. That's because you're out of shape. You've got to get some flexibility in you, like this. To demonstrate, Emi reaches down and puts her head through her legs. God bless you, Emi. I see. Is that the sort of thing I should strive for? Of course, flexibility is important for any runner. You'll be able to go faster the more you stretch out. That makes no sense to me, but Emi seems to believe it's true. With Emi's help, I managed to stretch myself out properly. I can't help but notice that when she thinks about how to explain things to me, her mouth scrunches up in concentration. It's adorable. Not bad, Hisao. Come on, we'd better start running. We'll start off with just a mile, okay? That's 4 laps around the track, got it? That sounds fine to me. It shouldn't be too hard, right? A hazy memory of running a mile for gym class surfaces in my mind. Yeah, it wasn't that bad. Emi sets a pretty good pace, and I fall behind her. Try to keep up, okay, Hisao? Roger. We round the first curve without incident, though I can already feel my heart rate increasing slightly. By the second curve, I've started to breathe through my mouth. Emi doesn't even seem to be breaking a sweat. As if to punctuate her superiority, she turns around and starts running backwards. Are you doing okay, Hisao? Never. Better. Oh, really? Maybe I should speed up then, Oh, no. Wouldn't want you to over-exert yourself. My heavy panting and wheezing makes the statement less convincing than I had hoped. Emi simply smiles and turns around again. You're the boss, Hisao. We'll stay at this pace. I get the feeling that I'm being mocked. If I weren't in such terrible shape, I'd probably feel offended. By the third lap, my breath is coming in ragged gasps. I'm also awash in my own sweat. Gross. We round the curve to start our 4th lap, and Emi looks back at me with a grin. Here we go. She takes off at blinding speed while I stubbornly stick to my slower pace. By the time I get the first turn, she's already rounding the second. As I struggle across the backstretch, Emi continues running and catches up to me. Come on, Hisao, you can do it. I'd answer her, but I'm too focused on getting air into my lungs and ignoring the burning in my leg muscles. Part of me wants to say something like, maybe you can, but I'm about to die here. But again, I doubt I can actually form words right now. Emi keeps pace with me as I round the second turn and cross the finish line. Her sprint seems to have gotten her sweating. It's actually caused her shirt to turn slightly translucent. It seems she wears a black sports bra. Ugh. I feel a vague stab of guilt for being the sort of guy who stares at a girl's chest, but my legs and my chest are burning so badly that I can't bring myself to care that much. Not bad for a first effort, Hisao. Kind of you to say. So, Emi seems to be, if not out of breath, at least breathing a little more heavily than she was before she started running. It must have been the sprint that did it. Hey, I've got to get a few sprints in. You should walk around the track to cool down. Then we can stretch out and we'll be all done, okay? Sounds great. My legs are on fire and my breathing is still heavy, but surprisingly my heart seems to be taking the strain well. Another triumph of medical science, I suppose. You should put your hands behind your head. It makes it easier to catch your breath. Surprisingly, she's right. I begin to stroll around the track, happy to feel my breath coming back to me. There's a blur as Emi sprints by me. Watching her run is absolutely fascinating. It's not just because she's on prosthetics, though. That is interesting. The really interesting thing is the way her face changes. I can only catch glimpses of it as she runs by, but her eyes seem to come alive with a sort of fierce joy. It's as if there's nothing else in the world but her and the track. By the time I've gotten to the final stretch, Emi seems to have finished her sprinting. She's breathing heavily now, but she's wearing a satisfied grin on her face. She waves to me cheerily as I near her. Feeling better, right? Actually, yeah. Do you want to take another lap around with me? I've got to cool down too, you know. Part of me would rather sit down and not move, but something tells me that would be a bad idea. Besides, if I sit down, there may be no getting back up again. Sure, why not? Emi's got her hands behind her head now as well, which makes her seem very relaxed. The positioning of her arms also pulls her shirt upwards ever so slightly so that I can see a small strip of her belly. Ew. I do my best to act the gentleman and not look, but the contrast of her skin against her red running shorts is rather arresting. So how do you feel, Hisao? Surprisingly good, actually. I'm sore and tired, but surprisingly good. As soon as I say it, I realize that it's true. Sure, part of me wants to lay down and die, but I feel like I've accomplished something. It's almost like a glow throughout my body that persists despite the soreness. Yeah, that's the runner's high. Runner's high? Yeah, it has something to do with adrenaline. Emi thinks for a moment as we walk, trying to remember. Then she shrugs and grins at me. I don't actually remember. It's a good feeling, though, isn't it? Better than sex, right? I open my mouth to respond shortly before processing what she just said. Emi watches my face for a few moments before bursting into laughter. Sorry, I couldn't resist. You're just too easy. Why did I agree to run with you again? Emi just laughs harder. She takes a hold of my forearm and tilts it, allowing her to get a better view of my watch. Her face changes at the moment she sees the time. Oh no, we'd better get a move on, Hisao. Class is in an hour and I need to shower. I should probably do that as well. I need to see the nurse too. Maybe he'll write me a note for being late. Why do you need to see the nurse? Emi points to her prosthetics, as if that would explain everything. It's important to check for irritation. You know, from sweat or friction or anything. Normally, I only go after practice, but if we're gonna be doing these morning runs, then I guess I gotta see him twice a day. Wait, so Emi only started doing these runs since I showed up? If it's more convenient for you to run with me at a later time... Don't be silly. I've been meaning to start running in the morning for a while now. But if I didn't have a partner to run with, I'd be less likely to keep up a routine. It's always harder to blow off a commitment if you're going to let someone else down, you know? So you'll be my running partner for the mornings. We both need the exercise, so it all works out, don't you think? Yeah, perfect. Did it have to be me, though? Well, I guess I can't complain too much. Emi's pretty fun to hang out with. And she's right, I do need the exercise. Doctor's orders, even. Emi waves a quick goodbye to me. Right, I'm off. Come have lunch with us, okay? What? Lunch. You know, the meal, in the middle of the day. Come have it with us. Where? The rooftop. Rin likes it up there. When? Lunchtime. When else? That was a silly question. Yeah, but I sort of felt the need to ask all three for completeness' sake. Emi laughs and grins. I don't think I've ever seen a girl smile so much before. Not bad, Hisao. See ya. With that, she takes off like a shot for the school building. I guess she's gonna see the nurse first. I hurry back to my room and hop in the shower, only to find that the water takes a while to heat up. The shock of the cold water nearly kills me. I managed to warm the water a bit and spent some quality time feeling my muscles loosen. My heart, surprisingly, feels the least bothered by the run. I suppose that's a good thing, even if it does make me feel like a bit of a wuss. I mean, at least I have an excuse beyond I'm out of shape if my heart were bothering me. I guess I'll have to keep this running thing up, otherwise I'm sure Emi won't let me hear the end of it. It's only after I get out and dry myself that I realize I've only 10 minutes left to put my clothes on and get to class. Crap. The hands on the clock finally set me free from the tedium of yet another fun-filled class. Getting up from my seat proves to be more of a problem than I anticipated. My legs are killing me from this morning's run. Maybe doing these with Emi isn't such a hot idea after all. Still, the run's giving me one hell of an appetite. I'm halfway down the hallway to the cafeteria when I remember that I've got my lunch with me. My parents saw fit to provide me with some prepackaged stuff when I moved in, and a good thing too. The hallway is packed with students headed for the cafeteria. Going back is like swimming upstream, but I've got an appointment to keep on the rooftop. It takes me a moment to find the staircase leading up to the rooftop, but I'm willing to bet that Emi and Rin aren't up there by now anyway. In fact, I think I saw Emi among the bodies in the hallway headed for the cafeteria. I step out of the door to the roof and take a deep breath. The fresh air blowing against my face and body almost makes my legs hurt less. Maybe if I'm upside down. A part of me wants to be surprised that Rin's already up here. What's that going to accomplish? Things in the clouds. Couldn't you just look at them right side up? Rin rolls her eyes in something approaching exasperation. Then I wouldn't get a new perspective. Is upside down really a new perspective? Aha! That caught her off guard. Rin looks pensive. You may have a point. Maybe sideways? As Rin lays down on the bench to look at the sky, I give up. Fortunately, Emi chooses that moment to burst through the door carrying 2 bags. She nearly takes the door off its hinges. Sorry it took me so long. There were a ton of people in line. She drops the first bag in front of Rin and takes a seat on the bench next to her. You buy Rin's lunch for her? Sometimes, yeah. I'd have Rin buy my lunch for me in return, but I'm not sure how she'd carry it. Plus, I'd never buy her lunch. If Rin's offended by Emi's comment, she doesn't show it. Emi sniffs. How ungrateful of you. I'm not sure whether the two are joking with one another or if I'm witnessing the beginnings of a cat fight. The 2 girls stare at one another for a few tense moments before breaking into smiles. Hey Emi, do you think being upside down is a new perspective on things? Didn't I already have this conversation? Emi looks thoughtful, apparently giving the question some thought. After a deep and profound pause, she speaks. I have no idea. Well, at least she's as lost as I am. Hey Hisao, you're coming to the track meet, right? The question comes out of the blue and catches me off guard. I don't know yet. Honestly, Hisao, after I went through all the trouble of letting you run with me in the morning, you won't even show up at my track meet? Wasn't she the one that asked me to run with her? Actually, she didn't even give me a choice in the matter. Wait, no, I didn't say that. She beams at me as if I just agreed to give her $1 million. So you will come after all. That's great. I didn't say that either. I'll be going too, so I'll make sure he comes, Emi. Good idea, Rin. Maybe we can get some food or something after the meet's over. I feel like I've just been conned, but not by these two. More like by some outside force pushing me irrevocably towards my destiny. I mean, not me, not on purpose. I didn't choose to end up on a route to likely end up with one of these 2 characters. Or maybe I shouldn't read books that feature conspiracy theories so heavily. Otherwise, I might wind up sounding like Kenji. Still, I suppose that I've got to show up now. I don't think that I could stand against both of them being disappointed. I'd never hear the end of it. When is it again? Next week, silly. I just told you a few days ago. No, you didn't. I forgot? Well, you won't forget to come, will you? Of course I won't. I'll even make a note on a calendar or something. Rin nods sagely. That's probably a good idea, you know, unless time changes its course. It can do that? Rin gives a non-committal shrug. It hasn't yet, but you never know. This time it's Emi who gives a shrug. I suppose it can't be helped if it happens. Not unless you're a time traveler or something. You don't actually think that could happen, do you? I don't think we do we? Rin shrugs again. That seems to be her default response to everything. I suppose not, but I reserve the right to change my opinion at a moment's notice. For Rin, this statement makes a disturbing amount of sense. The fact that I realize this now frightens me a bit. I wonder if Emi gets this feeling all the time. If she does, she's not showing it though. Emi merely nods. As expected. What's that supposed to mean? This time it's Emi who shrugs. It's like she's using Rin's own weapons against her. Your response is the sort of thing I'd expect from you, that's all. Am I really that predictable? Emi's smile seems to border on gloating. Nah, it's just that your unpredictability is pretty predictable. Well, that's alright then. I don't get the chance to see whether Rin's being serious or not as the bell rings. I didn't notice the lunch period slipping by at all. Hanging out with these two was far too interesting. Emi jumps up, a look of panic on her face. Oh no, I need to stop by my room to pick up my notebook for the next class. Don't you wish you had a time machine now? Rin seems rather smug as she delivers this line like she just won an argument. Emi ignores Rin's comments. Sorry, Hisao, but could you make sure our garbage gets thrown away? I usually clean up myself, but I've gotta run. Sure, no problem. Emi darts away with an urgency I'm starting to expect from her. I don't bother asking Rin why she couldn't help. She already seems to be preoccupied with something else entirely as she wanders off. She's probably used to Emi taking care of cleanup, and for some reason I doubt Emi's ever raised the issue with her. Cleaning up from lunch doesn't take long, so I have plenty of time to toss our garbage and get to class. Misha greets me with a wave and a devious grin as I walk through the door. Didn't see you in the cafeteria, He-chan. Yeah, I decided it was too crowded there. Misha's grin gets even wider. Oh, really? Are you sure you aren't participating in illicit rendezvous? What are you talking about? You were on the roof, right? With both Rin and Emi, no less. You Casanova, you. But we just had lunch, that's all. Misha bursts into laughter, drawing the attention of several of my classmates. You're so adorable when you blush like that, He-chan. She gives me a conspiratorial wink. Don't worry, your secret's safe with me. There is no secret. Oh? Misha seems disappointed and then brightens up again. Time will tell. I don't know what the hell she's talking about, but blessedly our teacher comes in and the class starts. Another day of class has finally dragged itself to a... Another day of class has finally dragged itself to a close. Unexpectedly, I managed to stay awake for the whole day. I'm pretty sure that counts as a miracle. My legs seem unwilling to stand up for a moment. I guess the run took a lot out of me. I head down the hallway and make my way to my room. I sit down and half-heartedly chip away at my homework for a while, feeling like a vulture picking at a particularly unsavory carcass. It knows this is what it eats, but it's not sure that it shouldn't be ordering takeout instead. I don't think I can take this, but it's important to get my work done. Now let's see, what was I supposed to be looking over again? I know it's a losing battle, but I fight it anyway. Halfway through my math homework, I put my pencil down. This isn't working. I need a distraction. Unfortunately, my options for distractions are rather slim. I'm not in the mood to read right now. Kenji is, unusually, out of his room at the moment. If I go to the student council room, I'll just end up doing work for those two. And heaven only knows where everyone else is, except for... Well, I suppose that's an option. I grab my shoes and head for the track. Emi's probably down there. Track practice is just ending as I arrive at the track. The sun's beginning to dip low in the sky. Has it really gotten that late already? What are you doing down here, Hisao? Come to spy on me, have you? I give a shrug. To be honest, I'm not sure why I'm down here. I didn't have anything better to do. I figure that's about right. At the moment, Emi's the only person I can think of who I could visit. So I'm your last resort, am I? Nobody cool around, so you just go to see Emi? Is that what you thought? She actually looks angry. A chance for some teasing of my own presents itself. Actually, yeah, I guess you are. Emi pouts, widening her eyes to give the maximum amount of puppy dog resemblance. Kidding, I was kidding. So you are down here to stalk me. Wait, what? That's not what I meant. Why would I stalk you anyway? It's not like you require stalking. If you're not a sleeper in class, you're down here, right? Emi laughs at this comment. Well, you're not all wrong, I suppose, but you forgot about eating. I do that too, you know. I nod, conceding the point. Plus, I hang out with Rin sometimes too, so really I might take some effort to stalk. What do you two do together anyway? You don't seem to have a lot in common. She puts her hands on her hips and assumes a superior air. That's what you think. I've got all sorts of hidden hobbies, you know? Oh really? Like what? Emi puts her head to one side, as if she's trying to remember what it is she does in her free time. Well, Rin and I go out shopping sometimes. I guess that makes sense. Emi is a girl, after all, but Rin? Rin comes with you? We usually swing by the art supply store. Plus, she likes this music store that sells all kinds of weird-sounding stuff. She says it helps focus her. That makes a little more sense. I see. Any other hidden hobbies? Emi wags a finger at me. Now, why would I go and reveal all my dark secrets to you? We hardly know one another. Somehow I think that's all that Emi has in the way of hobbies. Still, I don't think my question's been answered. Even if you do have a few hobbies, I still don't see why you hang out with Rin so much. I mean, she's kind of weird, isn't she? This comment causes Emi to laugh loudly. That's the understatement of the year. So why? I mean, you're a lot better at conversation and stuff, so I figured you'd hang out with a lot of people, but I think I've only ever seen you with Rin. Emi seems unusually defensive. Hey, I hang out with plenty of people that aren't Rin. You just don't see me doing it because I'm not in your classes. Okay, but that still doesn't explain why you hang out with Rin. I'm not even sure why I want to know this. Neither am I. I haven't made a decision in a while. I guess it's because lunch was so strange. Emi shrugs, looking for a moment, very Rin-ish. It's because we have similar outlooks. If you were to ask me the least likely answer to my question, that would be it. What do you mean? It's like... Okay, Rin paints and stuff, right? Yes? I'm not sure where this is going. Well, I run. And? And that's why we're similar. You lost me. Emi frowns, as if trying to figure out her answer. Well, maybe it's that we do things for the same reasons. Huh? You know, we follow our passions. So you're passionate about running and Rin is passionate about art, is that it? Well, sort of. Let me think. Well, Rin explained it to me once, but I don't know how much of it I followed. Not surprising. I think any explanation from Rin would probably confuse anyone. She says we both chase after an extreme. Like, she's always trying to find a new way to show a particular feeling or something. And I run because of the feeling I get from it. And since we don't allow ourselves to be slowed down by anything, we make a connection based on that. What do you mean, slowed down by anything? Emi looks surprised and points to her legs. You know, because I'm a runner and Rin's a painter, even without arms. So we respect each other's determination. And that's why we hang out. I think. Well, I'm not sure that made any sense to me, but from Emi's sheepish expression, she's not sure about it either. Honestly, it's not something I think about much. We get along. I think that's really all that matters. I suppose she's got a point there. Another question strikes me, and since I've got nothing better to do, I ask it. So what got you into running, anyway? Oh, I've been running since I was really little. My dad was a runner, and as soon as I could walk, he started teaching me how to run. It was our father-daughter thing, you know? Our own mutual hobby. A shadow crosses her face, and I'm shocked to see her looking sad. Did something happen between them? Man, I don't have a lot of time left. Sorry, but I've got to get a few more laps in before I go to see the nurse. She races off around the track, hair streaming in the wind. It seems to me she's going a lot faster than she was this morning. As she rounds the track, I catch a glimpse of her face. It's much the same as it was this morning, but her eyes seem to have taken on a harder edge. I guess she's right. I don't really know much about her. I watch her run for a little while and then stand up to head back to my room. Hey! She spots me leaving and waves to catch my attention. Don't forget, same time tomorrow morning. Got it? Got it. I head back to my room. Homework beckons. I can't sleep. My body's tired, but my mind is kept awake, staring at the ceiling in the hollow darkness of my room. I grasp desperately for a thread of thought, hoping that I can run my brain into the ground. All I can think of is how I can't think of anything. This is not productive at all. I wonder if this is a side effect of my medication, though it seems odd for it to take so long to show up. Then again, maybe I'm just not as used to my new surroundings as I'd like to think. I don't know, but for whatever reason, I'm awake and I shouldn't be. This is ridiculous. Ignoring my body's stiffness, I get out of bed and look at my clock. 4 in the morning. Last time I checked, it was only 1, so maybe I slept a little. I don't know. I throw on some clothes and head out of my room. A walk might do me some good. I'm surprised at how chill the air is compared to the relative warmth of the day. I can almost see my breath as I wander the campus, waiting for the sun to come up or for me to fall asleep. At this point, either option works for me. I find myself at the track, where for the first time, Emi's not out running. I suppose that makes sense, it's too early even for her. The bleacher seats are cold, but at this point I welcome the sensation. The sun is starting to show its face over the horizon, and I know with an awful certainty that I'll get no more sleep tonight. The sun's steadily strengthening rays start to warm me up, and I watch the dew on the ground begin to steam slightly. My mind calms down a little. Someone is shaking me. Hey, wake up. Huh? Where? What? I guess I fell asleep after all. What are you doing out here? You're gonna catch a cold or something. I rub my eyes and am confronted by Emi, who bends over me with a worried expression. I'm still a little groggy, so my response comes out in a mumble. Didn't sleep. Watch the sun come up. Sounds like something Rin would say. I shrug, feeling the stiffness that comes with sleeping on a bench for a few hours. Is it? I wouldn't know. Emi grins a little at my somewhat cranky response. So, couldn't sleep, eh? Obviously we need to run you harder today. Even though I've only known her for about a week, this seems a very Emi-ish response to the problem. Hey, my body was plenty exhausted after yesterday. My mind was just racing, that's all. I don't see the difference. If you run hard enough, your brain will get tired too. I'm seriously questioning the wisdom of doing this first thing in the morning. I don't know if my grades will be able to handle me tiring my brain out like that. Emi pulls me up from the bleachers with surprising strength for someone her size. Now come on, Hisao, we've got work to do. I don't actually know if I'm up to this today, to be honest. I mean, I obviously didn't get much sleep, and what sleep I got was on the bleachers. I don't know, should I really be running? Emi glares at me. Good heavens. What are you talking about? Of course you should be running. How else do you expect to work out the kinks? You've been sleeping on the bleachers, for heaven's sake. The best way to get the soreness out is to run around a little. Now stop hiding in the bleachers and get down here. There's no arguing that. I'm pretty sure she'd kill me if I didn't do as she said. I get to my feet and hop down onto the track. The sun is warming things up rather nicely, I think. Emi and I begin to stretch out, and I find myself once again hard-pressed not to stare. This is how I have to wake up every day. I might be able to get used to this. You know, Hisao, it's not polite to stare. I wasn't staring, I swear. Emi raises an eyebrow and considers me for a minute as if evaluating my response. There's a brief moment where I'm afraid for my life, but then she smiles and laughs, shaking her head slowly. Honestly, you didn't have to deny it so strenuously. In response, I clap my hands together and go for a change of subject. So, that's enough stretching, right? Emi gives a casual shrug. Do you feel stretched? That's really how you tell. Well, I do feel up to the run, if that's what she means. Yeah, I feel ready to go. Same as yesterday, okay? We'll just run for a mile at a steady pace. Don't worry about going really fast, just worry about keeping the pace, got it? You're the boss. Emi grins again, and we take off around the track. I think I'm going to die. We're not even done with the first lap and my legs are on fire. My breath is coming in ragged gasps. I can feel sweat pouring down my brow, and we've only just now rounded the second turn. Come on, Hisao, you've got 3 more laps to go. I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. I think I might hurl. Somehow we're on the second lap. Emi's not even sweating. How can she do this so effortlessly? For some reason, I'm still moving. She's like a machine. Third lap. What happened to the second? Almost there, Hisao. Liar, we've got another 2. Nothing can be done. I can't do this. Emi whirls around and begins running backwards. Her face is a mask of anger that surprises me. Never say that. If you say that, you'll have already lost. Keep moving. If you're alive, you can keep moving, damn it. Whoa, language. We're on the 4th lap now. She really seems to want me to keep going. Legs move. They feel so sluggish. I'm in mud, or molasses, or tar. I can't go on. I'll go on. Final stretch, Hisao. Give it all you've got. I pump my legs as fast as they'll go. They keep refusing to obey my commands. Somehow I keep moving. Somehow I finish. That's it, Hisao. I knew you had it in you. The anger Emi showed a lap ago is gone, replaced with pride. She's positively radiant, like she just won the gold medal or something. I stagger to a stop and fall onto my hands and knees, gasping for air. My heart is pounding far harder than it has in a long time. I don't think it's done this since... Oh god. Please slow down, heart. Yeah, he pushed himself too hard. Just slow down, stop racing. I didn't even get a choice in that one. So this one's not my fault, okay? It is not... I had nothing to do with this. Just slow down, stop racing. I cough, and for some reason, I feel a grin crossing my face. So this is how I die, huh? Trying to stay healthy? How ironic. I'm all ready to give up right there. But then I feel my heart slow down. 2 hands grab under my arms and tug upwards. I look up and see Emi standing over me, with a mixture of delight and worry. On your feet. Come on, you'll never catch your breath that way. Somehow I manage to stand. I try to raise my arms above my head, but they feel like lead. I start to walk around the track while Emi keeps close to me, like she's afraid I'll fall over or something. She may not be far off. I feel terrible, and say so. Emi laughs. But you finished, didn't you? You said you couldn't, but you did. Isn't that worth it? I'm not sure, and I don't really have the breath to say so. But that small grin I felt on my face earlier hasn't left. So what if my heart's weak? I still survived this morning. Maybe I'll survive tomorrow, too. I don't think that's a good way to look at it. As soon as it becomes apparent that I'm not going to suddenly keel over, Emi takes off on her sprints. I don't know how the hell she can manage to sprint after running a mile, but I guess she's in much better shape than me. Once again, as I walk around the track, I can't help watching Emi sprint. It's weird, but she's like a different person when she's pushing herself. Last time I noticed her eyes, but this time it's her mouth that catches my attention. She's not wearing her normal grin. She's still smiling, but there's a tightness to it. It's almost grim, like she's fighting a losing battle but doesn't care. She seems to be running harder, like she did yesterday. Sweat has started to pour down her face, but she keeps going. Her mouth finally opens as she can no longer get enough air through her nose. As she passes me once more, legs pumping, arms swinging in time, her lips slightly parted, she looks beautiful. After we've both taken some laps around the track to cool down, Emi changes back to her usual self. The transformation I saw in her is gone. Not bad today, Hisao. There's almost admiration in her voice. What do you mean? I would have stopped if you hadn't yelled at me. Emi colors a little, seemingly embarrassed about her outburst. Sorry about that, it's just, I can't stand to see people give up. Especially about something like this. Saying I can't go on is silly when you're obviously going on while you're saying it. That's what this is all about. What, saying silly things? Emi sticks her tongue out at me. Idiot. I mean showing that you're alive. Showing that I'm alive, huh? I didn't know it had to be so painful. But it does feel pretty good despite that. Besides, this is one of the hardest days. What do you mean? Whenever you start a workout, it's difficult the first day, really hard the second day, and then the third day is easier. You'll still get days that are really hard, but they'll pop up less and less. So this will eventually get really easy, huh? Yeah, of course. But then you have to increase the difficulty, or you'll never get ahead. You'll just get complacent, and you'll lose the sense of accomplishment. So I'll have to run more than just 4 laps, huh? Yep, but not for a while. You'll have to be careful, you know. A thought strikes Emi and her face lights up. Got it. Got what? You can come with me to see the nurse. That way you won't fall over dead or anything. How charming. When? Right now, of course. You'll need a shower and everything, right? We don't have much time then. Grabbing my hand, she's off, pulling me alongside her. My goodness, but you're in a hurry today, aren't you, Emi? I have no idea how we got to the nurse's office so fast, but here we are. Emi took a shortcut, she sans Undertale. The nurse grins at Emi and seems to completely ignore me. You've got plenty of time to take a shower and get to class, you know. There's no need to run through the hallways like that. I could hear you coming a mile away. Somehow it doesn't seem like he's actually scolding Emi at all. It's like this is sort of a routine between the two of them. Emi does a passable imitation of remorse. I'm sorry, I won't ever do it again. The nurse and Emi both laugh at some private joke. Suddenly it seems that he notices me. Ah, hello, Hisao. What brings you here? Well, Hisao's officially joined me on my morning runs. I start to explain, but Emi cuts me off. I thought he might need to visit you so that he doesn't die or anything. The nurse raises his eyebrow in mock horror. Yes, that would certainly put me out of a job fast, wouldn't it? Well then, Hisao, let's have a look at you. Lift up your shirt, would you? I'm suddenly very conscious of the fact that Emi's in the room with me and blush in spite of myself. The nurse seems to sense my discomfort, but it only seems to amuse him. A bit shy, are we? He makes an apologetic bow to Emi. Sorry, Emi, I tried to get you a free show, but it doesn't seem to have worked. Emi stiffens slightly and fires a look of annoyance at him. You're an asshole. Emi bows to me apologetically. I'll wait outside, okay, Hisao? I begin to stammer that it's not really a big deal. She doesn't have to leave, but she's already out the door and the nurse is laughing as he watches her go. Still got it. I don't follow. He laughs again like he's in on some joke that's over my head. I can still get her flustered. It's a competition of sorts we've had going on for a while now. That sounds incredibly sinister to me, and it seems as if the nurse realizes that too. That sounded a lot worse than it actually is, come to think of it. I wasn't gonna say anything. No, you're right. I should fill you in so you don't get the wrong idea. I'm actually relatively new here, you see. I got hired the same year as Emi started going here. Before that, I worked with Emi during her initial rehab following her accident. Hold on, what? We had to amputate her legs after a really nasty car wreck. It nearly killed her, and succeeded. He shuts up abruptly. I blink at receiving this unexpected piece of news. Well, that's not my place to say. Anyway, we've known each other for quite a while. So we have a slightly more familiar relationship than is strictly professional. He seems embarrassed, like he's done something stupid. I guess he's really worried about that. I wave a hand to let him know it's not a big deal. Don't worry, sir, I promise I'm gonna be discreet. I'd been wondering about what caused Emi to lose her legs, and that was one of the scenarios I had thought of. There were only so many ways that could have happened, but actually hearing about the facts is still a little shocking. Well, thanks. You're a good kid, Hisao. I can see why Emi became friends with you. She's quite indomitable, you know. What do you mean? You didn't see her learning to walk. She'd go for so much longer than the others in the hospital, she refused to quit. Normally it takes years to get to a point where you can even think about running again. Emi did it all in about a year. He almost seems proud of her, like a father who watches his daughter win a competition or something. Hell, she'd probably have done it faster if not for the fact that we wouldn't let her. Wouldn't let her? Why not? Because she'd go for so long that her legs would start bleeding where they met her prosthetics. It's a real concern. It's why she comes by every day after she runs. To say nothing of the risk of infection if her legs get cut up and her prosthetics are dirty. But enough about that. If we don't get you on your way soon, Emi will think we're up to something. As he says this, he gives a wink and begins checking my heartbeat. The stethoscope is way too cold. He really should have heated it up or something before he used it. After a few moments, he leans back, satisfied. Well, you sound pretty good to me, Hisao. You didn't have any chest pains while you were running, did you? No, not really. I had some trouble catching my breath, though, and my heart was racing by the end, too. The nurse frowns as I say this, but then shrugs. It's probably just because you were out of shape, but if you don't improve, then you should let me know, okay? Don't push yourself too much, and of course, if you have any chest pains, come to me immediately, right? I put my shirt back on, and the nurse leans out of the doorway to call Emi. What took you so long? Now I'm gonna be late. The nurse gives me a significant look. I was just... I was just seducing Hisao, that's all. What? Come on, what have I told you about seducing my friends? I'd expected Emi to be shocked by this, but instead she seems merely annoyed, scolding the nurse as if he were a child stealing cookies. What? Meanwhile, I try hard not to blush at the nurse's innuendo. I'll try not to do it again, though I fear young Hisao may be lost to the female gender forever. What the fuck? Not freaking likely. I didn't mean to say that out loud, but both the nurse and Emi regarded me for a moment before bursting into laughter once again. Told you he was funny, didn't I? Huh, I guess Emi does talk to the nurse about a lot of stuff. Well, Hisao, you should probably get moving. You still need a shower before class starts, don't you? Crap, he's got a point, and it looks like I've only got half an hour. Thanks for your time. I'll see you later, Emi. I dash out of the room as the nurse begins to remove Emi's prosthetics. As I head down the hallway, I can just barely hear his voice drifting after me. Emi, you've got to be more careful. I make it back to my room and shower in record time. It occurs to me that I've already been up for 4 hours and the class hasn't even started yet. This is going to be a really, really long day. I hope I don't fall asleep in class.